Welcome to Late Night Dominion, and this is episode 6. You'll have to bear with us. I am going to be doing the live production of the show, something I'm not familiar with. So, like I said, bear with me. And as always, for greetings, we go to Roshi. Roshi?
Welcome to Late Night Dominion, guys, with your host, Beetle the Bearded Gamer, Muscle-Bound Blank Space, Nix is a sleeping French mime who only can stay up for 16 hours in a row, and myself, Hiroshi the Token Brit. Cheers.
Again, welcome
Oh, that was so funny to me.
Was it?
Too kind, sir. Too kind.
For those of you who've been asking for it, tonight we have Nixus out of his corner. Aegon had a little real life issue, so we decided that we could have just left him, in the corner, but we'll let him out, we'll let him talk, we'll see how long he lasts. So, let's get a little into these, what exactly we're going to talk about tonight.
Room to stretch? That's awesome.
Bigger box. So, we are going to talk about all things that are current in Wildstar that you guys need to know. Hopefully, the guy that's going to be doing Nixus's job does a good job, and if not, we'll fire him and find someone new. Maybe put them in a box for a little bit.
Good luck, chicken.
So good luck, chicken. We have Wildstar Wednesday, paths. Next, stress test this weekend. It was tweeted by Team Wildstar. Want to mildly discuss that again in the pay model. Our discussions, our thoughts. So, before we get going, make sure to check the make sure that you're not linking in chat. I believe we've got a chat moderator now, so it shouldn't be too big of a deal. And make sure to follow us on Twitch. Like us on Twitter. Follow us on Twitter. Like us on Facebook. And if you're watching from Twitch TV, you can always stop by latenightdominion.com and you can watch us under the stream tab. So, with that, we're going to move on into the weekly news here. Wildstar Wednesday was over paths. And what we had there is a video of Agent, now how do you guys say this? Vaccine
lady.
talking about paths, and there was a dev speak video. I don't know about you guys, but one of my favorite things is the like the disclaimers at the beginning. I think that's pretty cool. So
Yeah.
right there we've got
last time.
little vaccine,
Lovely.
which I think is just
Oh my.
pretty baller.
Sexy lady.
The next that you guys are going to see is going to be a ZAM interview. It's going to be paths and PvP. It was Jeremy Gaffney on, he talked a little bit about the scientist and the settler. I believe you guys are going to get that link. Definitely want to check that out. Had a lot of cool stuff in there. And of course, we're going to get to it as soon as we start breaking some stuff down. There was a Game Breaker TV interview with, of course, Gaffney again. This is where a lot of our discussion today is going to be based upon. It's going to be on payment model. And the big mention is a hybrid system. Game Breaker TV also got some hands on some gameplay video, which was pretty cool to see. I'm sure a lot of you out there are really watching that, trying to see if you find any cool stuff. A lot of cool video, lot of content this week. So I'm going to try and cover it all as we go here. And what was the last one here? Oh, there was I didn't get to see it all. I got to read the overview, but there was a Twitch stream with the combat team. Went over lots of information. I believe that the video is only up for so long. Over at Wildstar Central, there was a thread that kind of had things broken down. Some of the things that I wrote here to make sure that we mention is that gear is a progression based on tiers. So your battleground would be a tier 1, your arena would be tier 2, and your war plots would be tier 3. With that, it means that the gear that you're getting out of the tiers is okay in the battlegrounds, better in arena, best out of the war plots. And there was something, and I made a big note here. It says the gaffer said it might be possible to do guild versus guild in a war plot. And I know I speak for everybody here. Definitely. We are definitely down for some guild versus guild war plots. So, Now when I finally get to shut up, we start rocking into these topics. First thing that we're going to talk about are paths. And what they are is they're another feature. It's not just a race, a faction, but it really caters to how do you want to play an MMO. So we've got a couple here to go over and discuss. Why don't we hear from Nixus? Nixus, why don't you talk about the first path that's on the list there? Why don't you tell us what the first one is on the document tonight?
This is like the part where he like starts talking and he actually doesn't speak any English.
Yeah.
All right. Well, first path tonight. First paths tonight. We're talking about the Explorer. Now, the Explorer is definitely one that I'm interested in. I'm not sure about the rest of y'all, but what we've got is basically the Explorer path. Essentially, what it is you'll be walking around the world, and let's say you run into a random thing, and it'll be like, follow here, to discover something new, open a cave. I mean, we've all heard about what the Explorer is. I think it's a really cool twist on how, maybe you're going to go through the world. Let's say you're questing. Linear questing, in my opinion, is one of the most boring things ever in any game I've played. So to know that I'll be able to be on a quest, like say, go kill X mob, and on the way there, I run into something, and I'm just like, oh, what's that? And I'm walking off, and then it takes me, and I run into something like entirely new, and 2 hours later, I'm like, what was I doing again? Like, that's exciting, right? And it used to happen in WoW and all these other games I played, but I had to basically look for it, and now that it's going to essentially be indicated through a path, it's kind of cool. I like the entire concept. I don't know. What do y'all think?
Yeah, I'd call that that whole effect that you call like walking down an area and not doing anything and then be like, wait, where am I? I call that not just the Oblivion or Skyrim effect. I call that the Elder Scrolls effect in my book, because in every one of those RPGs, I'm just like, the game's like literally for me in Skyrim, you get done, spoilers, there's a dragon in the first 10 minutes, and you get done with that, and the guy's like, hey, let's go down to Riverwood or whatever and meet my sister. There's two paths, one to the right with him, and then one to the left. First thing I did at level 1 was just turn to the left and start walking. I was like, I'm going this way. So anything that can give someone like a path oriented to that like brings you to places, then you're playing with a friend later, and he's just like, dude, have you seen this area over here? Like, you're not an explorer. It told me to go over here, and it's like, this is cool. There's like a whole little thing over here. There's little guys dancing or something. I don't know. But personally for me, I'm not that excited about Explorer because I'm awful at jumping puzzles. And there's a saying in our guild for Guild Wars 2 is if there's a jumping puzzle, Beetle needs a portal, because I just sit at the bottom and wait for the portal. I would say I'm more excited for Settler, being able to create buff stations, quest givers that could have better loot is what the video said, like having these rare quest givers and having somebody in your party that has these, that'd be awesome. It's just like, oh, hey, if you guys are with me, we get this quest. It's pretty boss. I don't know, Roshi, what do you think?
See, I love the whole Explorer path. I think it's amazing because it means all those jumping puzzles and those little pixel perfect things you have to do, it's done by somebody else. So I don't have to worry about it. Nixus can jump up and he can go and explore his heart's content. I can get on with killing stuff. And I love that, and then the other paths, which I'm sure we're about to talk about, it's just I can find the playstyle I like without having to have other playstyles necessarily infringe upon what I want. So you can get down to the core of killing your monsters, completing your quest, and doing that one thing you really enjoy in an MMO while leaving the other bits to somebody else. But it's cool because then when I want to do the Explorer jumping puzzle, I can follow Nixus up the rock face and find the cool stuff up the top. And maybe the path I chose will interact with that and there'll be something cool for, say, the scientist at the top. It's like, hey, you can discover this new plant and it eats Nixus. And that would be amazing in my book.
We are going to talk
what
about.
What do you think, Blank, about the Explorer?
We are going to talk about synergy. I do want to explain a little bit more about paths because some people are, looking for more information. We just talked about Explorer, jumping puzzles, finding hidden away places. I believe one of them showed somebody walking over a sinkhole, and all of a sudden they just kind of fell through into like a cave. Scientist had some sort of pet, like a scan bot. A lot of things dealing with mental puzzles. What could scanning do? One of the notes that I put down there for a scientist was, having to deal with that? Is that like, do you consider it a pet? Does it do things on its own? So, scientist was interesting. Soldier is what, some of us just love to do. Yeah, you can either do it solo or with friends. There's all kinds of missions that add to the variety. And then there are settlers. Settlers have buildings, buff stations, quest givers, shared projects, and they get some sort of path XP when used. They're able to build up small quest hubs for yourself, and what I found was interesting that they can even create NPCs to defend it. One of the things to note about this, however, is that they are timed, and I believe that was in the exam interview. So they're only around for so long.
Right.
I know we're going to get into that in a little
It's
bit.
like defend the object thing.
Right, but what I'd like to talk about there is synergy. When we're talking about paths, a bunch of us here are min-maxers. There's going to be a lot of min-maxers in the chat. There's going to be people asking, this is cool for me because I like to explore. Now, this is an MMO. As a group, where do things synergize well? And the only point I wanted to make before I, toss this over was everything seems to synergize well with everybody except for the explorer. And until we get more information, I feel like, the scientist can go and do fun things. The soldier can kick butt. The settler can build things. And the explorer's like, y'all can kiss my ass. I'm going to be on this thing over here. So I'm wondering, like, how does he synergize or she synergize with everyone else? Like, is it possible that you explore a cave and inside that cave there happens to be something for a soldier to do or a scientist? Or are they limited in their scope? So, Roshi, it looks like you had a little something to say. Go for it. Synergy, paths.
Didn't they say with the Explorer that he's going to open up maybe shortcuts across the map? So maybe he will say, hey, look, I found a secret cave entrance. We can sneak through here to this special area. And there's, like, as you said, maybe something for the warrior to do. I think they will synergize really well. I think they're going to open up far more options than you think. Except jumping puzzles is always cool stuff. And having a guy who can find them for you and follow them up. And maybe you need the scientist to, from what I saw in the Game Break interview, scan a little rock, and it gives everyone, like, gravitational powers. I think they're all going to synergize tightly, and anyone's got a party with 4 more people, don't have 1 or more people in there, they're going to be missing out. You need every single class, every single path.
Yeah. I mean, as far as synergy goes, I think the people in the forums will tell you the biggest example is, a explorer opened up this cave, and there's a soldier holdout inside of it, deep within this cave. Now, as far as synergy goes, if I'm a soldier, why do I care to have an explorer in there? Well, hopefully, and I'm not sure if this is confirmed, but hopefully the holdout behind an explorer object is going to yield a higher return in a certain material, a rare item, stuff like that, causing people to synergize or group up based on different paths. I know someone said a lot of butt kissing between paths and chat. It's like, yeah, it's just like what we used to have in, other MMOs. Like, this is a healer. I like this healer. He's not in my guild, but he's going on my friends list, because whenever you drop healers, it's like, oh my god, where's the healer? It might be, oh my god, where's the explorer? We have 4 soldiers ready to go to this holdout behind this cave that I know is here that drops such and such sword, which would be boss for my guy to have. So I feel like Carbine understands the need to synergize the paths, or explorers are just going to be off by themselves, settlers are just going to be baking buildings, stuff like that. What do you think, Nix?
I was going to very quickly, they're saying in chat that Blank's louder than us.
I'm going to work on that.
I'm
going to work on that. Go ahead.
But yeah, I'm thinking I might actually like it. I mean, I can only assume that they will have their role in any party. I'm hoping that they'll be the underdog path where everybody's kind of like, oh, what's your purpose? And then turns out, Elden Game, you're doing your exploring, you find Pandora's box, and you blow up Nexus. I mean, like, everybody will have their strength or weakness, right? No, but on a less, like, more of like a fun note, I guess, if the explorer is running along and does find, let's say, a whole jump puzzle like you were talking about, to me, that's a ton of fun. Because then, let's say I have my buddy who is the explorer, finds it, tells me, I'm going to drop what I'm doing because I'm going to go check it out. And, that's hours of fun ahead of me for the amount of content that I'm assuming is going to be in the game, right? So it's not necessarily about the synergy that they'll have in a group, the buffs they'll give or anything like that. To me, what's more important is the fun that you'll get out of it. Everybody has that playstyle. If you're looking for hours of grinding and, just getting a bunch of experience out of it, then go Soldier. If you're looking just for a good time, I'd say go Explorer.
I feel like...
Didn't they say in Game Breaker TV?
Good, Rush.
Didn't he say in his gameplay video that he followed an Explorer friend up a mountain phase, and then he was able to, as a soldier, summon some monster to fight? I'm not sure that's a class he was playing, but there was some sort of synergy there.
Yeah.
Right. I'm sure we'll see them kind of unveil as the knowledge is out there, There's this cave that has a scientist thing that you scan. It'll just slowly come out.
And one of the distinctions, well, two things that I wanted to note here is they've made sure to call it Path XP. So, when you first hear about being able to make a buff station that, when people use, you get XP, you're like, ooh, this could be exploitable, or this could be like, I'm going to get something from it. Path XP is not regular XP, and this is my assumption here, that it's not like, okay, because that was my first thought when I was like, oh man, that's like super overpowered. Why wouldn't everyone be one? I get to get buffs, I do all this sort of stuff. But then it's like, oh, those are two separate things. And what I really like is, instead of encouraging people to play in different ways, like just having a jump puzzle or having a holdout, they made it an integral part of the game. You like to do, they looked at the social dynamics and the macro societies and said, you know what, these are the groups that we can lump people into, and we're going to make our game have these things in it. Not just kind of there like, oh, you can do this jumping puzzle if you want to for fun. No, if you enjoy it, we're going to make it a whole part of this game. That, I think, is... I think it's amazing to have another layer of gameplay. It's not just you have a faction, you have a race, but then I like to do this as a player and have that not just be a small portion, but a big portion of what you do. I did have a quote here about, let's see, there were some questions about the settlers building things up, and everybody having, some sort of campfire or something around, and how they dealt with that. The response from Jeremy Gaffney was, our designers have the ability to vary that up to depending how they do it, but their standard answers tend to be that they make a first tier of stuff that even just a single settler in the area can build by themselves, and it decays kind of slowly. The second tier takes a couple of guys working together for it, and it decays more rapidly. The third tier stuff decays really fast and takes a bunch of guys working together. This means that when you have a huge mass of players, which game launch, things like that, when you have a huge mass of players going through near launch, the game is not trivial, and when you're the only guy playing from Hungary in the middle of the night on US servers, you're not gimped. You still have stuff to do. That's a balancing act that we play across these sorts of more group and more social things. So they've looked at, they're not dumb. They were like, okay, we want to make sure that if you're a settler, or, because I feel like the settler's the real big social one, that whether you're doing it with a bunch of people around, if you all build it up, okay, it deteriorates quickly. But if you're the guy by yourself, it stays a little bit longer because it took you just building it. I think that's really cool how they made sure to address that. So 1,500 campsites, not a big deal. But if they all get together to make one really cool campsite that gives you a buff for like 10 minutes, you know what I mean? It's that it's making sure to have that
I wonder
balancing
if they're
act.
going to apply that concept to like other paths, because let's say, with the settler, it's all about being social. I get that. So you might have, multiple people working on one little campsite. Will they do that with the explorer, for example, where you'll run into old Eldan hieroglyphs, and in order to be able to decipher them, you'll need an entire team of researchers, that kind of thing, So I wonder if they're going to do that with multiple paths.
Well, they said...
I guess it's possible.
They said it was soldiers.
Yeah, they said it with soldiers. They said,
the soldiers would scale.
Right. We're going to assume, big assumption here is that they're going to make the, that's not just for the settler, it's got to work for the other guys too, because while I want to play with the explorer Nixus, and the soldier Orochi, I might also want to get together for all, soldiers and go kick butt and have something that scales for having all of us being the same.
Right.
Sorry, bad transition here, guys. Trying to talk and produce is kind of a difficult thing. So,
all right, I got it then. Don't worry about it. All right, so we're gonna move from paths because Blank is choking up. No, I'm kidding. We're gonna move from paths a little bit. If you have any path questions, be sure to ask them. Chicken Juice will grab them and he'll throw them into our document, and we'll hit them at the end of the show here. And we're gonna talk about next. Well, do you want me to talk about that next?
Just the difference, yes. I can go into it. I just remembered that it was in the notes and it didn't get built, so go for it.
Go for what? Sure, go ahead.
Allons-y.
Sorry, NDA, can't tell you.
The devs over at Wildstar mentioned that there's going to be a stress test. We talked about this when they originally released it as a Wildstar Wednesday. We want to remind people that if you're invited, you've beat your F5 key and you got in, congratulations. Don't tell your girlfriend, don't tell your mom, don't tell nobody. Try to log in, and please remember there's a distinction between a marketing stress test and a real stress test where they're going to be trying to break things. These guys are going to be trying to break things. They're not being like, hey, come in, check our stuff. If you leak and the content looks, crappy. No. They're like, we're trying to break stuff. So, if you get in, remember that, and don't leak things. That's bad. So, that's what we had to say about stress tests. We had to mention that again. Now we can move on, Beetle.
Yeah. All right, sweet. Yeah, like Blank said, and Jen is saying in chat, make sure to queue with her in Battlegrounds. If you're in, you don't need to tell me that you're queuing. She wants you to queue for Battlegrounds during the stress test. All right. And our next topic we're going to be talking about, which I find hilarious, because this is literally like the last line in the Game Breaker interview, and it's like five words. But Jeremy Gaffney talking about when he said the pay model, and he said it would be hybrid, and then everyone just went nuts. So we're going to talk about it. But it's like I just find it hilarious because it was literally one sentence. He's like, "Oh yeah, we're not talking about it, but it's hybrid," and then it ended, and we're just like, "Oh my god!" But so we're gonna talk about a hybrid pay model and what possibilities of a hybrid pay model are, and ones that we've seen in the past. Blank, do you want to go down the bullets there?
Sure. We have some examples, and then we'll get into our thoughts, what we like, what we don't like. We're going to piss off a lot of people. It's going to be a lot of fun. So, subscription with a cash shop and in-game sellable game time. With in-game sellables. Some of them have game time. An example of that is a game like Eve. There are tiered subscriptions. It says free up to 15. And that example was EverQuest 2. Not sure which one of you ding-dongs wrote this. We got buy to play with a cash shop. So you buy the game, there's a cash shop, Guild Wars 2. You also have buy to play with optional monthly sub and free to play option. Example, Terra. Lastly, we have free to play with cash shop, pay to unlock, cosmetics unlocks. Examples would be PlanetSide 2, Dungeons and Dragons Online. Do we want to see a model based around a simple subscription? Nixus, go.
Well, honestly, I've never really liked the free-to-play model. I've never liked the optional subscription model either. I understand where some people might be interested. I feel, personally, like having a subscription-based game, you purchase the game and you pay your monthly fee, it drives the company itself to want to produce, more regular, better content in order to keep, the user, the consumer interested in that in basically, the added value in what they're paying on a monthly basis, right? In addition to that, I feel like people take their accounts a little bit more seriously. I know it doesn't remove trolls entirely from the game, but I feel like when you have a free account, and I'm not going to name games, but whenever you can make as many accounts as you want, and let's say you'll be banned for 30 days, well, whatever, I'll just make a Smurf. Like, it doesn't matter. People will continue to just show that bad side to them, and I really do not like that. I feel like a subscription model will help counter that, maybe not fully, but a decent amount.
All right.
And then the quality of the content itself, in my opinion, tends to be better.
Orochi, model, sub.
See, I'm with Nixus. I'd like to see a subscription model. It doesn't need to be $15 these days. That's maybe 10, maybe a little bit less. But I'd like to see the subscription model. Similar reasons to Nixus. I think people tend to respect accounts more, and people are more interested in staying to play. If it's free to play, you think, I can drop this and come back to 6 months' time. And the odds are you won't. If you're paying a subscription, you're more likely to log in more often and play and enjoy the game. I do know that free-to-play models do generally make more money for games, which is unfortunate, but I guess that's the way the world's becoming. But personally, I'd like to see that free-to-play subscription. Sorry, that $15, $10 subscription, not free-to-play.
Free-to-play subscription. That's really hybrid.
That's a new one. That's super hybrid.
It's free-to-play. You have to have a subscription, and your money goes into my PayPal account.
Nice. Beetle?
Alright. I'm probably going to make people angry, but I agree with somebody in chat, Fish FPS. They've said hybrid, so I'm going to go ahead and think it's not going to be your 13 to 15 a month. I think probably around 8 to 10 a month with a vanity shop, a cosmetic shop of some sort, with a currency similar to gems in Guild Wars to be traded for vanity items, but also bought with regular money and traded for vanity items. And I mean, because they said hybrid, and hybrid is not standard sub, let's be honest. So anybody who's thinking standard sub and they're only going by standard sub, you're probably going to be disappointed. We have to be ready for whatever they're going to give us. If you're willing to play the game, willing to put in the money, that's just how it's going to be. I mean, hopefully it doesn't have a cash shop that ruins the economy or ruins everything. You get freaking health pots, health packs for money or something like that, buff items. But yeah, hybrid, I'm thinking $8 a month with a cash shop, vanity and cosmetic items, skins and such. Blank. Go.
Gonna split this into, well, what do I think? What do I want to see?
This is gonna be a long answer.
It is. So you want to stretch, check check your email or something.
I was gonna grab some Easy Mac or something. That's like 3 minutes, right?
Yeah, he'll still be talking.
The model that I want to see, we know it's not going to be a simple sub. We could sit and debate what sort of communities they bring. I agree that when you're subscribed, there seems to be a financial interest in not losing that, especially since every, you buy the game and then you're subbing to it. If you lose it, you've lost both your playtime, the money you've put in, and then you have to rebuy the game. Where do I think it's going to be for hybrid? What would I like it to be? And then we'll pass it back around for what, if you guys didn't fully explain what you'd like it to be. I like an optional monthly subscription. When you buy it, you have the optional monthly subscription, and it's not free to play. So I want it to be like Terra to start, maybe for the first year, and you can subscribe for $10 and have those elite perks, but you have to buy the game, that it's not just free, and there isn't just a cash shop. And I feel that they'll be able to generate enough money to see how successful things are going to be and move forward from there. I really, really, really dislike when it's just free to play with a cash shop. There's no upfront for it. I feel like you're just kind of giving it away. But when it comes to hybrid, there's just so many different ideas. And please don't do the buy a founders pack and get in free and do this stuff, because for some reason that just everything. I'm not going to say any names because there's some guys out there I really love their developer teams.
Well,
but
you said founders pack already.
well, whatever. Founder's a general word. Kiss my butt. So you buy into whether it's a beta, you buy into
Terra.
whatever, and you get in. And I just feel like once you're in, it just for every game that's had that, I've played it, I've checked it out, and then I was like heartbroken, out of love. I spent whatever it was, and I was done. I don't know if there's a direct correlation. All I know is that I just because of how it's happened in the past, I don't want to see it happen in Wildstar in the future. You guys, if you could make your own model out of everything that's here, subscription, make your own hybrid, what would it be and why? So Orochi, if you can make your own hybrid to make money so that they're happy, they can generate more content, we can, Troy can have a job, Jen can have a job, we can keep them employed and happy and not being fired and let go like we read on Twitter every day. How would you do it so that you can balance both community, but also so the game is making money and you're still getting great content that's not watered down?
If I was to do it in hybrid, I guess I would go, you buy the game, at a reasonable price, maybe like $30 or something, as an in. Maybe pay something like a $5 a month subscription. This is like almost like a token to give people that responsibility for their account, and then stick in some sort of cash up. But with this game, it's a bit awkward because you already said they're going to have like that one weapon for your warrior or your spell slinger, so you can't do weapon cosmetics easily. Are you going to have like a uniform cosmetic, or are you going to like a different looking mount? I just don't see what they're going to put in the cash shop, which would help.
Your house?
House stuff? Yeah.
House items,
Wallpaper.
mount items,
House.
skins for those one weapons. I could go.
Nixus.
I just don't, depends how it looks in the house.
Okay.
All right. I mean, I'm not going to buy it if it doesn't look that great.
Nixus.
Before I actually go about talking about what I would want as a pay model, because you're asking me to answer a question I don't want to answer. I do not want hybrid. I do not. And here is my problem. Cash shops. Okay, people complain about cash shops being pay to win, right? Okay, let's use the argument, well, don't make it pay to win, make it all cosmetic, fully aesthetic stuff. You can buy, cool looking outfits for your character, for your house. My issue with that is part of the drive that you have when you're at endgame is that, yeah, sure, you want the better stats, you want to get, the achievements, but at least for me, is I also want that incentive of having better looking stuff. So when I do progress, you can see it. It reflects on the way my character looks, right? Or on the way my house looks. Like, if I had to down X heroic mode to get this super awesome couch, that's an L-shaped couch with, made of pure white leather, I want to have to work for it and not just pay 50 cents for it.
That's your ideal couch is an L-shaped white leather couch? Is that what you said?
It's got to be a French
don't
thing.
Judge, huh?
It's got to be a French thing.
No, but
that's like fresh.
My issue with cash shops that are aesthetic is that, let's say you hit level cap, you buy the coolest looking aesthetic armor that they have in the thing. What really drives you to want to get the cool looking gear that you have to earn through dungeons? To me, it just takes away from that drive, and that's it. I do not want cash shops.
What you're saying is if they're creating this 1% content for us looking cool and stuff like that, but they're saying it's a hybrid, so if we already have the 1% content in these armors, then what's going to be in the cash shop? Well, if we already have everything that looks cool, then there's not going to be many cosmetic skins in the cash shop, most likely. So
Bunny costumes.
You're saying that the cash shop may be pay-to-win items, is what you're worried about.
Yeah, essentially, and even just the small XP boosts, any kind of boost is silly, in my opinion. You should play the game. It's a game. You shouldn't.
I'll say Guild Wars 2 cash shop is doing very well, and there's no pay-to-win items in it.
No doubt that certain models of cash shop can do well. Some people love what I'm arguing about right now. I personally do not want hybrid. I just want a subscription that you pay on a monthly basis where you get full access to the entire game. And call me cold or not, if you cannot, for any reason, find it, whether it's financially or, it's something in terms of, regarding your ethics when it comes to pay models. If you don't want to pay for it, then go play a different game.
All right, Nixus, I'll call
That's
Gaffney
purely,
right now and put him on
frankly,
speaker.
how I see it.
I'll put him on
Guild
speaker
has
for you.
pay to
Just
win
tell him
items.
that.
So Beetle, go ahead. You get to. You've kind of already described it, but for you,
It's this. Unless Nixus can stumble up the fort with pitchforks and torches and slay Gaffney, it's gonna be high. I mean, he may not be set in stone. It was just a random interview, and he goes, "Oh, it's gonna be hybrid." Hybrid could
Hear my
mean a
call,
lot of
Gaffney.
things. We're just throwing them out. We're just throwing out what we think hybrid could mean. This could be completely new to anything. Like, you play the game to purchase tokens in Wildstar, and if you don't purchase enough tokens of time, your character's deleted forever. I mean, it could be any sort of hybrid model that we haven't even seen. That was just
Don't
a
give him
bad
ideas.
model. I don't want my character to die. Hang on. Don't use that. But it could, I mean, we're getting worked up, and I knew we'd get worked up, and it's one-line text, but it's not going to be just a monthly sub. I'm with Gaffney. It's probably going to be something. It's going to be something.
Maybe they
I don't know.
do the E thing.
yeah. Can you
It
explain
could
the
be
E thing?
thing.
You gotta explain it.
You can
You
go
think they
buy
have,
game time and then get your ship blown up
buy
and
an
get all your
item.
time stolen.
In Eve, you buy an item which is game time, and that then becomes tradable. So you buy it real money. I think $15 gives you like one item. So then you can trade that to somebody else for in-game money, and they can use that to pay for their game time. So someone who has lots of time to play the game.
Lost you, Roshi.
I just lost his audio.
Mic gone?
Who's the
There you
man
go.
now?
There
Keep
you go.
talking.
You're back.
I'm back. Yeah, so in
He's
Eve,
back.
you buy a game time item, which you can trade to other people, giving them the game time, and then you get the money back.
Right. And
I'm getting feedback. So.
ideally, that's kind of what I would like to see. I think it'd be cool that, not the whole fact that you can get it stolen and junk, but being able to reward players that trade their gems for game time. I think that may be what the hybrid model we may see. But who knows? Hybrid model, blank.
I would like to see. Oh, feedback. Buy to play with a small sub. We're not going to get it. So if we're going to have hybrid, buy to play, you get elite items and cool skins and things like that. We're getting some feedback, so we might have to adjust Ubu here just a second. Someone else want to continue discussions real quick?
Yeah. I mean, if you guys are ready to move on from this topic, are you getting feedback?
There's one
from
thing
me?
I'd like to say. How do you
We're not
decide
done
what's
yet.
buy to win? Because in Guild Wars 2, you say there's no buy to win objects. But if I can go buy more bag slots, put bags in, I can spend more time out questing than I do back at a hub selling stuff. So I can advance quicker on XP. I think
Yeah,
the
but
buy
that's-
to win always gets very
that's
blurred.
nitpicking. That's
Well,
not like I can only quest for a +1 sword at any point in time, and the cash shop has a +3 sword. I mean, cash shop doesn't have a +4 bag, and I only have a +1 bag. I can make the biggest bag, but
You don't have the
it's just-
slots to put them in, which is
But you have plenty of
it's
slots
just-
to begin with.
So Roshi, you're I think it's you that's doing the feedback.
Yeah.
Possibly. Just try.
To expand kind of on what Orochi is saying, though, let's say you have to buy bag slots or even character slots. I think it's silly that you would limit the average player to, like, let's say 2 character slots, where they'll have to really decide on, the profession that they want, the path they want, the class they want, that kind of thing, when someone else could just go buy the character slots, have every profession leveled up on all their different characters, and they have the advantage because they can just completely rely on themselves. I say give everybody the same content. That's it. But I mean, if it's going to be hybrid, I'm still going to love the game. I'm still going to play it. No issues there.
Yes.
I'll just
It's
do it
just
with a
like-
frown when I start.
It's just like the Call of Duty series. Like, all of us gamers are like, same thing every year. Well, there's still how many millions of people buying it every year? You're gonna buy it. And at this point, with most of us in WildStar, we may not, like Nixus, you may not want the hybrid model, but you're going to pay. You'll play.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, I will. If there is the option to play it for free, I'll still pay my monthly fee. And if there is no monthly fee, I'll still pay the game, play the game. There's no issue there. It's just, we're talking purely about models here, and that's it. The game itself, I'm still full faith that it's going to be a wonderful game.
The other thing I wanted to add about subscription models is it adds another layer of economics to the game. And to me, it's like you have an economy that happens inside the game, and then they worry about accounts being stolen or items being stolen. And I believe that, with like Diablo 3, they were like, we're going to have the real money auction house. We're going to see how that works. And it was this big cluster. That is the one thing I worry about, is it being a meta game where it's like, okay, it's like when I played Terra, and I'll use that as an example. I really liked the game. It was fun. But there was a huge meta game where I was making sure that I was watching the economy, and I wasn't just playing the economy. I was playing this whole meta market where I was watching for game events so I could maximize my profit. And then, if I'm somebody who's trying to make money for myself, all you got to do is have time. You're no longer just playing a game. You're playing a game of playing a game. So I'm going to make sure that this weekend they're going to have this for 50% off, so I'm going to buy as many as I can, and then I'm going to wait a couple weeks, and I'm going to sell it. I'm going to make this huge profit, which I'm going to continue to turn over and over and over again. And then it's like there's somebody who's an econ major who's trying to figure out how to fix this, server issue where so many people have the money. So I don't know if you guys have any opinions about that, but that is always, I want to play a game. I don't want to worry too much about playing a game to play a game. What do you guys think?
That's a whole thing. I mean, that's just... I don't even know. Playing a game to play a game. It's like Battleship. Making a movie about a game that's about a alien. I don't know.
Beetle doesn't do econ stuff. He's always like, hey, Blank, how much money we got in the bank? And me and Hiroshi are like, it's this much. What do you think, Bro?
I think if you can have sales, if you have sale items, don't have them tradable. If you have something you can buy at 50% off this month, you only can buy one of them and you can't trade it. That way it just stops the whole sale economics you're talking about there, of like, I'm going to buy a stack of these items at a really cheap price. Because Guild Wars 2 had that problem, didn't they? But it wasn't for real money, it was in-game money. They had some items where it cost you like one respect point, whatever it was, and you went and bought a stack of them, and then they shoved them into that random lottery machine they had, pulled the handle a few times, and got something better and ruined the economy. So I think if you're going to have discounts, then make them non-saleable.
Okay. Nixus, any thoughts?
No, I'm with Hiroshi on that one.
Okay.
I mean, I'll let you guys handle that, and I'll worry about PvP. But do we want to move on to the next thing here, Blank? I can do it here.
For sure.
Oh.
I did.
All right.
One point maybe worth bringing up and no one seems talking about is account security. You mentioned Blank. I'd like to see what they're going to do about that before launch. How many games have come out afterwards and go, oh no, we've been running for 6 months and everyone's account's been stolen, now we're going to put security in.
Yeah.
Has anyone heard anything about that at all? You know what they're going to do?
I mean, they'll take there's entire teams in development studios that are, systems engineers, system security, stuff like that. There's obviously going to be some sort of plan in place for that. Hopefully we can see an authenticator. I'd like to see an authenticator. Let us know in chat if you'd want an authenticator. We're going to try to move on to the next thing here. So, kind of wrapping up most of our topics for the night, but we'll get to our questions. We just like to talk about and thank anybody who came out for our Child's Play event that we had last weekend. We gamed for 24 hours, had the Carbon devs on, had a great time with all you guys in the community. It was a lot of fun. We ended up raising $3,720 of our 10K goal, which is really, really awesome for our first time doing any sort of charity event. Really, really awesome of the community coming out and helping us out. It was a blast. We played for 24 hours. Nixus fell asleep about 16 or so. It was our first event, so our stream was definitely a little bumpy at times, and we had some crashes and other technical issues. We apologize for those. What can we do? I mean, it was our first thing. We tried to keep it as cool as we could, but we're glad a lot of people had a lot of fun with the Team Fortress 2 match against Carbine. I know in our raid call we had a lot of people having a blast. I know in the TS the Carbine people were having a blast. So it was pretty awesome. And like I said, out of the 5 of us, only 3 made it the entire time. Nixus being one of the sleepyheads.
Almost.
And
You said
Aegon.
16, 22 hours in, I was up.
If anybody was watching,
we had
Nixus
Nixus
stream,
camera
I'm sorry, but I was
sleeping.
up.
there's
Do
a
I need to
couple
put the
points where he
picture
was
up?
like
Because I got
this,
the picture.
But and Aegon fell
Oh,
asleep, and Aegon's got a kid that he's got to take care of. He's a daddy. I can assume why he fell asleep. He's got to do all that stuff. What else we got? So yeah, thanks.
Shout out to Kai,
Thanks
though.
all for donating. Oh yeah, shout out to Kai Dream for stopping by, playing some League with us. I actually got my first ever League of Legends pentakill. It wasn't ARAM, so it's not as cool. But I'm thinking about maybe editing that for my stream because the 5th kill in the penta was Kai, and she was trying to run, and it's pretty funny audio for it. So I may upload that
And
to
a quick shout out to Bardic as well. You know, she's there for
Yeah.
like 12 hours when we started in the morning and all the way through. In her pajamas as well, no less, she said. I'm
Yeah.
not sure she ever got changed out of them. But.
Yeah, shout out to Bardic, Jen Gordy for hanging out and even starting with Plant Side 2 with us. I don't think I ran you over in a tank, and you probably rezzed me about 12 times.
Yeah.
We gave away a bunch of stuff. We gave away some games, but we did end up giving away 4 Arc Ship adventure kits, which were the big duffel bags that they gave away at Arc Ship events, and we gave away 4 of those. And there's a picture on your screen right now. We had winners were Andrew McCarty, Tim Hewitt, Josephine Mitchell, and then we had our 4th winner was Gazimov, who actually gave his back. So we need to redraw that for the night. So we will be redrawing an Arc Ship kit. One of the things you see on your screen will be given out tonight to any of the people who donated, guys? We still have the donation list.
Yeah, who donated before and during the show?
Okay, so anybody who donated for this Child's Play event, you have a chance to win one of these tonight. And we will be doing this at the end of the show, I believe, after our questions.
I think Blank's waving at you. So.
Right
Blank's
now.
waving at
We're
me.
going to do it right now.
Right now.
Oh, Blank says we're going to do it right now. So,
Here we go.
yeah,
Even
be
better.
ready. Is it on your screen?
There's a lot of
Beetle's
names in there.
terrible. Beetle couldn't direct traffic if he was standing in the middle of it. That's all I got to say. So,
This stream is like 15 seconds behind, so it's like, now, hey guys, we're on random.org. We've placed all the donators' names within this list. If Blank Space would kindly scroll down this list, you can see names in here. And this will pick a random person. The person at the top of this list wins the Arc Ship kit.
and
Can
I say-
Yeah.
You know, we had 130 odd
missing.
donators. Most of them were Anres. A Free Nixus campaign.
there we go.
Andrew
We've
Phillips.
got a winner.
Andrew Phillips.
Andrew Phillips, if you're here, I'll be contacting you for your details so we can get them off to Carbine. And those people have won. The details are sent to Carbine, but they're incredibly busy people, so they'll be with you as soon as they can.
There we go.
Your name
All
was in there,
right,
Demon
so-
Piggy.
Demon Piggy's name
MMO
was in
Papa,
there.
I'm down there at 33. All right, so congratulations again to Andrew Phillips. Everybody who won an Arc Ship thing, we've sent off your details to Carbine, like Hiroshi said. Very busy people. They're trying to make this game that we're all excited about called Wildstar. And that's pretty much it for the... that was on purpose, guys. Don't laugh at me. And Child's Play, that's pretty much it for that. Congrats to everybody. Thanks a lot for your donations. You guys are awesome. Yeah, and we got some shout-outs here before we get to our questions. I'd like to give a shout-out to Mission Nexus for giving us a bunch of games to give away during this event. I think we gave out a total of 9 games. Mass Effect 3, some Deus Ex, a lot of, AAA
in the end, I
titles.
think
It was
it was.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yep.
11
And
including Terra, so...
Nexus Prime also gave us some games. We had some miscellaneous stuff from OnRes. Anybody else that I failed to mention, thank you. If you gave us things to give away, we really appreciate it. What we got now?
Now we're gonna move on into the questions. We're gonna move on into the question.
Hey, everybody, we're gonna move on into the question.
I think Nixus should take over some questions because Beetle can't follow a simple document. So go ahead, Nixus. Why don't you take over for the questions and let Beetle? He needs a break.
This isn't as simple.
He needs a rest.
This isn't a simple doc.
Alrighty. Just lay back there, Beetle. Alrighty, questions. Random viewer asks.
She said.
A motorcycle with rockets. What's up with that? So I think he's referring to one of the latest videos that came out.
Yeah, there was.
What do y'all
Would a random viewer be Unixes?
There was a motorcycle, and while it's driving along, it like blows something up. What's up with that? Who knows? But whatever it is, motorcycle with rockets is kind of badass.
Mount battles, maybe?
Possibly.
Speeder bikes.
Forest
Forest Moon of Endor.
How intense.
What was the name of that game where you had the cars and it was like black something? I can't remember what it was.
Star Wars?
Beetle? We're gonna have to cut him off. No, it was a game where you just build up your cars and you just smash
Twisted
into
Metal.
each other. Thank you.
Twisted
No,
Metal.
there's an MMO like that. Yeah.
No, it was just a game you used to just get these cool cars and blow each other up. It was a lot of fun. So when I saw that, I remember being like,
Thumper was the best.
All right, go ahead. The next question?
Yeah.
Alrighty, next question. What would you like to see in a collector's edition?
Ooh.
Would you like to see
And like a
Beetle?
Kari statue about this big.
Yeah,
Life
I'd like
size
to
statue.
see...
Would be nice.
For me, collector's editions, the last two I've bought were Guild Wars 2 and Bioshock Infinite, and both those were because of the sculpted statues that they had. For me, a collector's edition needs to have, I'm a big comic book nerd, so I have a lot of little statues of comic book guys, so anything between an 8 to 12 inch statue, plastic, PVC, or whatever it is, yeah. I don't care what race it is, Makari, Granok, maybe even like three
We
of
need
them.
Voxine is what we need.
Yep.
A statue
Oh, yeah,
of Voxine.
Sold.
It'd be
man.
GG.
So, yeah.
Yep.
Oh, everybody gets Voxine 10-inch statue. Yeah.
Absolutely.
It'd have a glass frame and everything.
Or Zap says the Metal Maw. That'd be awesome. The Metal Maw would be sweet to have as a statue.
I was gonna say sometimes it's cool when they send out some sort of swag too, so that's always cool. I'm looking around. I thought it was right here, but
Hoodies?
was it-
T-shirts?
was it PlanetSide that sent something out with theirs?
Buckles?
I'm not
Planet
sure.
Side gave a shirt.
Yeah,
I don't know
No,
what am
Firefall
I
has a
have one?
beanie.
yeah, there was a beanie.
Firefly
I actually
beanie.
think I have it nearby. There's a beanie that I got with the Firefall Founders Pack, and that's pretty cool.
Those are cool for
I
like
already have hats though.
convention, like to go to
Chicken
a
Juice wants a
convention and rock
life-size
one.
model of Nixus.
What's that?
It's
Chicken Juice wants a life-size model of you. He has to realize you're
Wow.
that big. We're blowing you up
I'll
just for the
send an
purposes
email
of the
to Team
stream.
Carbine. We'll see what we can do.
Yeah. I think it's also cool when they do. I think Guild Wars 1 did this, and it ended up still Guild Wars 1 collector's editions will sell for pretty high on eBay right now. Is if you had a Guild Wars 1 collector's edition, every character you made had some sort of glowing hand effect that was very subtle, but it obviously made you different in towns and stuff like that. I kind of like in-game effects.
Okay.
okay.
I
You mean
would
like
like
even
a
just like an
big
emblem
sign
you
that
could
says
have on your armor or
Andres,
something
you're
like
on my
that.
side.
I'm
Alright, cool.
still trying to wrap my
Anything
head.
else? Moving on.
I'm trying to wrap my head around that. Are you talking about with Diablo 3 that collectors you got the wings? Are you talking about something like
Yeah.
that?
Right.
So
Yeah.
something
an
cosmetic.
in-game
that just-
effect.
Dude, I'm definitely down. That was one of the things that was cool. Where did that dude get those wings? He's got the collector's edition. So yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
collector's edition cape.
Or maybe something cool. I keep going back to House. I'm a huge nerd for the housing, man. So something cool where you can add something to your house that maybe doesn't do anything, but just looks flippin' cool.
Like
Alright.
a collector's edition exercise bike in your
Carbine,
house.
get creative.
Wait, is that for your house, Beetle?
I've got
Or
it.
is that for
Voxy
mine?
in a
No, I
maid
need one,
uniform.
that's for sure.
Voxy in a maid uniform. Cleaning your house. Now that'd be sweet.
Yep, sold. Alrighty, next question.
Okay, next question. Is there a lower graphic option?
Yes.
I would assume so.
For us or for the game?
Hey,
For us or the
listen,
game?
Chicken is not doing so well. Listen, Chicken's not doing so well tonight. The questions aren't quite there. We don't know what's going on.
What?
So-
No, that's my fault. It's all good.
Next.
We're good to go. All right, next question here. Onres asks, with the information shared on Wednesday, has any of the team shifted their thoughts on their first path selection? If so, why?
Scientist.
I think I have.
I'd say yes. If I can start.
I've shifted from Explorer to Settler. Easy as that. Nixus.
I went from Scientist to Explorer. Blake?
For me, I went from thinking I knew what I wanted to now I'm going to start being a little bit more reserved and waiting to see how things unfold. I'm used to looking at games very linear-like, so it's like this does the same thing as this, and it's all the same. Paths are totally different. I thought I knew, my class. I do know I'm Dominion. That's not a problem. Going beyond that, though, it's all up in the air now. It's all up in the air, so.
What are you, Roshi?
Scientist still, I just like the idea of, you got to collect them all and do some logic puzzles and, maybe find out where this huge thing we're talking about is going to be. That to me seems really cool.
Yeah.
Cool. If you guys in chat wanted to let us know if you guys had any changes of heart there, let us know. Alrighty, next question. Airwolf asked, how quickly should settlers, buildings, and works decay?
Ooh, that's a good question. I have a little theory, if I may.
Do it up.
All right, yeah, no one's saying anything, so I'm just going to go. I think, and I'm sure Carbine can do this, I think the buildings should decay to a minimum point based on the amount of players in the zone at that time, or even the amount of settlers that the game's data is creating at that time, allowing, if there's not that many, sure, your building can stay up longer because it's going to benefit more people because there's not that many settlers in this zone. So at the beginning of the game, when everybody's running these settlers, there'll be a low point for it, but I would hope they would decay quicker for other settlers to get their path XP and stuff like that. I think they could do it based on population.
You could have like a double limit. You could have it so if somebody builds it, it has 100 uses on it, max, but it also has a timer on it. So if you're in a zone where someone puts it up and there's not so many people leveling up, it'll stay there for the full hour most likely. And not that many settlers are going to be around to want to rebuild it. And if you are in a zone that is populated, it gets used up faster, so, more people are putting it up more often. You kind of rotate through it faster. You see what I'm kind of going with that?
Yeah, the amount of uses would be a good idea.
Here is my thought on that. You have the possible decay times. What if, Nixus, you build something, and then I help you build it too, and then we're sharing? And then on top of that, when we talk, because of course me being a metagame thinker, what if me and you build something, and then, it says that it gives you a buff or whatever. Okay, cool. I've got a buff. Now I take it off, you take it off, and we then do it again so we can maximize our path XP. Of course, I expect them to iron out those sort of things in the future. But when I think about trying to exploit systems, that's one of the first things I was like, that'd be kind of cool, So when it comes to decay time, uses is nice. But they did say that more people putting in would change it. So I think it's going to be more like how you were saying, Beetle, about all that gobbledygook about populations and numbers and algorithms and whatever else.
Yeah.
What do
Algorithm.
you
Yeah,
guys
I'd like
think
to
of
see
this? Oh, go ahead, Roshi. Go ahead.
I got to be yeah. I'd like to see again, some sort of usage as your usage takes time. You're only going to get so much path XP out of it, but next settler could come along and maybe bump it up. Like the campfires in Terra, you can chuck more wood on the campfire. Maybe then they will start to get some of this usage after yours have run out. So it's in their interest to keep your buildings going. So a building becomes more static, and settlers that go by can buff it up to keep it there for longer. And if it becomes a really bad place, people may not just buff it up, and it will shift to somewhere else.
All right. Cool.
Let's move on.
Any other comments?
No, go ahead. Next question.
All right, moving on to the next question then. Classics asked, do you think as a settler you will be able to custom name your NPCs, buildings, etc.?
NPCs, I don't think so. Buildings would be interesting if it is a rare or high tier build of a settler area. I think could be a cool thing just to name like the front of it, like a little board or something like that. That'd be cool. I don't see it being implemented right away, but it'd be interesting.
It might just be me, but I feel like giving people that freedom to name buildings or NPCs is looking for trouble.
Yep.
So maybe not even go into that.
Yeah, they might.
Yeah, I just called my character in China or something, so just say like built in China right next to overtime.
I'd call mine Fort Kickass. So
I doubt it. But being able to custom name things that deteriorate, I don't see that being a thing.
TTP, Blank's favorite phrase.
Next question.
Alrighty.
Let's move on.
Onrez asks, will exile settlers be able to make showers for all the space exile hillbillies, medical facilities, or just fun items? All right. Well,
No, exile settlers won't be, but Dominion settlers will be up to the medical facilities to test an Orin. That's a given. It was confirmed. I'm pretty sure. If not, they'll be putting it in the game at a later date.
More than likely, they'll have like, was it the Peanuts, where it'll be like, come here and you can cry about your poor whiny issues that you have. Oh, did you get kicked off your planet? Let's talk about it. That's what the Exile Settler is going to set up. Little psychiatry booths all over the place, so you can cry and whine about being exiles. That I think that was confirmed too last week sometime. So, yeah.
Alrighty.
Yeah. I'm lost.
Moving
so let's
on.
go to the next one.
Zaprobo asks, prestige paths, post-release path additions. What do you reckon they could add in terms of playstyles that would complement the existing ones? That's a good question.
They could add, if you want to just call it prestige paths, just take it as like a different prestige. They could add like the more path XP you get for a certain thing, they could just go do really cool cosmetic things. I think that would be the best idea. Nothing game breaking, but say you're already at like the max for your explorer or something like that. As far as regular things, then you can prestige it and get like another 10k XP or something, and get like a glowing hat or glowing boots because you're exploring all the time.
Or a title.
I think that'd be pretty cool. I don't like titles.
Achievements, a cool title, something to wear. In terms of playstyle, I don't really know, because I don't actually know much about the post-release path additions, the prestige paths, but I'm going to have to...
they could always take it in a direction where your current path breaks down into a specific type of profession. So you would have, like, the scientist could branch out to be either, like, a biologist or a chemist, and they would have, like, their own kind of buffs. That kind of thing, you know what I mean? Yeah.
That'd be interesting.
I don't know, let's say a settler can branch out to be a certain kind of political icon in any kind of, I don't know, I'm just...
The mayor.
I'm just trying to be creative here.
You could be the mayor.
You're so creative. You're so creative. Man, I just can't. I can't handle it.
But then the soldier, you'd guess, would you like more doing holdouts and maybe assassinations is a different thing? Explorer? Where are you going to go there? Like maybe jumping higher or digging deeper?
Yeah, you could do Delver and Hill Climber. Hill Climber, yeah, that rings. That's a good one.
Okay,
Wow.
I'm noting that one down. Hill climber.
Delver sounded much better. I didn't have one for going up. I'm sorry.
Alrighty. Next
Ladder to
question.
heaven.
Classics wants to know, war plots and paths. We know settlers and possibly scientists are going to have major roles in them, building and gathering resources or whatever. How do you think soldiers and explorer paths will affect them or be of use?
Ooh, I got this. Or I got something.
All yours.
Soldiers, I believe in war plots will be able to, after a certain, mini game or something like that, recruit more NPCs for you. I'm thinking. And then explorers may be able to jump up to a certain area or access an area higher up or lower down, if you want to call it, that turns on certain types of turrets that would rain death upon your enemies. Roshi, what do you think?
I think explorers may be able to open up different paths across the route, across the map or something. Or have, in terms of access, maybe they become more like a scout, where soldiers can be better as your defense side. Maybe they break it down that route. As well as on top of it, you got your classes as well to consider.
Yeah, I'm assuming they're going to have some cool things for them to do in war plots. I really think that their whole paths team has really thought stuff out. So
Yeah.
Blank?
It's another one of those.
Oh, Tree Chicker says flanking paths. That's a good one.
Yeah. I feel it's going to be very interesting to see how you build them on top of each other, where it's like your this path, how you're going to put them into use in a 40-man thing in PvP. I doubt they're going to make it so that you want all of one or the other, but I feel like a part of the min-max society that we're in, you're going to see people that say you gotta have this many because they do this and they're able to build on top of each other. How do I think soldiers and explorers are going to affect them? I don't really know. I'm more interested to see the interweavings of how they come together when it comes to large-scale PvP like that.
Yeah. That's something for that big war plots release. That's just gonna make me eat it. I don't know what that was. All right, next question.
Alrighty, moving on. Classics, once again, wants to know. They say when you do holdouts with more soldiers, there are more enemies to kill. How ridiculous will it be with 5 soldiers in a single group?
Ridiculous.
How ridiculous would it be with 100 people in one area? I expect limits.
Well, they also, if you think about it,
they're assuming that the groups will be able to start them themselves. Sorry, Blank.
Well, they talked about how they looked at how difficult things are. So, okay, 5 people might change the scaling, but I don't believe it's going to change their Bob ratio, which was discussed. So it's just going to be 5 people's worth. So it might look cluttered and crazy, but that's what you get for doing whatever it is for 5 people. And yeah, I don't expect it to be too crazy. Just going to scale.
Yeah.
It's not exponentially just...
I mean, I guess it'd be cool if you could eventually have an area where if you did gather, let's say, 30 soldiers, a world boss spawned or something. I don't know.
That would be awesome. That would be awesome.
Alright. Any more comments? Moving on?
Move on, I think.
Okay. So, Kelsey, I was about to say Khaleesi, asked the question, what do we know about the secondary professions? Hobbies, I think. Hobbies, collecting stamps and stuff.
Crafting.
Did you just say collecting stamps?
Yeah.
I think that's supposed to be maybe, crafting? Or are we talking about I'm not really, okay, it looks like we're getting cooking. Okay.
The crafting then,
Yeah.
sort of, not much.
So I can
really,
be
the
like
beta, it
interior
mentions
designer
something
for my
about food.
This is going wonderfully.
That's
They've
the
talked a
answer
little.
round question.
Yeah. Speculation is no idea. That we've had this conversation before, and there isn't really enough information whether it's going to be bandaging, cooking, fishing, all of these sort of things. There's a lot of stuff out there, but when it comes to actually being confirmed,
Any
definitely going to be
beta
there.
notes,
There's
trade
nothing,
skills?
So.
I really
I'd like
hope
to
they have
see-
fishing.
I'd like to
I do.
fish. Yeah, I want to fish.
I spend.
That's what I'm
looking
just-
now,
I mean, I'll
like
probably spend a lot of
hanging
time
out.
in the house, but fishing is gonna.
That's like if you
Oh,
can.
man.
That's like if
Especially
you
if
can
they have, like, a
install it
turtle.
at your. If you can like install it on your work computer or something like that for your like 30-minute lunch break, and you're just like, I don't have a time to do many quests or something, so I'm just gonna fish for 30 minutes, and you're just like eating your chicken
So I will
salad
say, I
sandwich or
hope they
whatever
don't
crap.
put a fishing pond on your house plot, because if they do that, I'll never make raids.
God, where are
You
you
will,
at?
but you've got the
Nexus?
raid
Oh,
portal on
you
your
know.
plot. They haven't said anything. The patch notes just say architect, which looks like it's for housing, weaponsmithing, for changing arguments, and harvesting. But they haven't mentioned anything specifically beyond we'll be able to cook, fishing, make clothes. Yeah.
All right.
There
I
is
guess we'll
laser
find out.
pickaxes and laser chainsaws, so that's all cool by me.
All right. Next question here. All right, Khaleesi, you had your turn. Moving on. Mother of Dragons is done. Onrez. Professions open to all? Question mark. What would you like it to be?
I think he's actually like, every class has access to all the professions, or maybe limiting it so if you only can use light armor, then you only can get access to light armor profession. Do we want it limited, or do you want, it's...
I mean,
Yes. Well,
Sure.
either way, yes, you can take that any way you want it, and you can quote me on it. Yes, I would like professions to be open to all, and yes, I would like restrictions. So yeah, wait for the game comes out.
what does Chad think?
Here's a
While we
good
wait
question.
for
Let's
their
get into the
answers.
next question. And
Yeah, that wasn't a question, Blank, but I agree.
the
Alrighty. You want to read it off?
it is
Can you read
Are you
that,
for or
Blake?
against flying mounts?
yeah, it's for flying mounts. You guys for or against them? It came from Agnios. I'm personally against because if you're an explorer with a flying mount, the jumping puzzles become pointless. We kind of talked about it last week. I guess we can definitely get into it again. The only place that I had a concern was the explorer. It trivializes it. But if they're able to balance it within this is an area where there is something to do for an explorer, so you can't fly here, or it's a no-fly zone or something. Okay, cool. I don't necessarily have a really strong point about it trivializing or making the world smaller or bigger. I enjoy content being given however it happens from the developers. I know a lot of people will disagree with that, but when it comes to, flying mounts in general, as long as you're not, making the explorer pointless, I'm good to go. What's your thoughts, Hiroshi?
I think, yeah, like you, as long as they have some mechanics in there which stops them making Explorer pointless, makes them interesting and part of the game world, as they're going to, I'm all for it. If they just put it in as an afterthought, like WoW, where you now can get a flying mount and you can bounce around and just pick and choose what you're going to do, then no. I think it needs to be an integral part of the game, well thought out and properly planned for and implemented. And then yes, otherwise it's a big no if it is going to do it lazily.
Alrighty. Beetle?
I want them because, like I said last week, I just think with the art style and everything, they could just be so cool that I would see past the things like, oh man, they can. They'll probably have fly height restrictions or no fly zones would be a good idea around explorer things, just making people so they can't fly. But there's just so much cool stuff that they could make that I want to see them because I love cool mounts and I want to collect them like Pokemon.
Pokemon. Alright, Nixus. Flying mounts, for or against?
Well, I could go on for hours about this, but in a nutshell, no, I don't want them. I like the world that I'm exploring to feel grand, to feel mysterious. I feel like flying mounts takes away from that. I'm also big on world PvP, and flying mounts are my worst enemy. So if we can keep them out of the game for as long as we can, I will put my vote in. But yes, I also love collecting mounts, Beetle, and I want them to get as creative as they can with ground mounts, but no flying mounts, please.
So no flying
Nah,
mounts
you're
until
wrong.
the first expansion is what you're saying.
No, ever.
Oh, ever. Ever.
Ever.
Nixus says no
I know
flying
it wouldn't
mounts.
make sense because it's the future. You can fly, yada yada. I don't want them.
Okay.
Yeah, I think if you're going to put them in,
Um,
put them in. Don't wait till next expansion. They're either there or not. Make the mind up at the beginning of the game. 'Cause otherwise,
Yeah.
it comes in the next expansion. It's great. We're at level cap. It's really cool. It doesn't affect us. But new players to the game isn't trivialized for them. So yeah, I think you're either going to put them in at the very beginning or forget them. Full stop. Gone.
My thing is they said they've designed the game from the ground up to have flying mounts. Or not from the ground up, from the very start they designed the game to have flying mounts. It may be at endgame, it may be whatever, but when I'm flying past you, Nixus, on my robot Pidgeotto, it's game over.
Nice. All right. Next question is from Zergulicious. Mounts in battlegrounds. I'm gonna expand that, and I'll say mounts in PvP. Yes or no? Battlegrounds. My opinion is battlegrounds are normally bigger, so I have no problem with that. Arenas are smaller. I dislike having mounts in arena because they seem to be more intimate. And for your war plots, I could see mounts being an integral part. So yes for battlegrounds, no for arena, yes for war plots is my personal opinion. Hiroshi.
I think, like you, it's a space. If you have lots of space and there's a reason to charge across the map on a mount, then yeah, that's really cool. But if you've got a tiny little map and there's no reason for them, then get rid of them. Keep it, foot-based for like a small map, big maps. Yeah, they can be cool.
All right, Nixus?
Nixus?
I mean,
Go ahead.
I think mounts in the past have worked well in BGs and stuff like that, so I think there's a whole tactic to them. If somebody's on theirs and they grab an objective type, they probably can't use the mount at that point, allowing other people to catch up to them with mounts. It's a tactic. I
Okay.
accept it.
Nixus.
Yeah, for mounts in large battlegrounds, sure. In arenas, no. If there are going to be flying mounts in the game, just put them in everything, I guess. Put them in arenas. Have fun. I kid, of course. But yes for war plots if they're big enough. Yes for battlegrounds if those are big enough. And no for arenas.
Alrighty. The next question that we have is from MMO Papa. The only thing I don't like about Settler is the lack of variation. The other 3 paths have 8 quest types each, yet Settler only has 5. Maybe how they throttle you getting XP? If you're getting XP from these little things that you do, maybe that's how they're throttling it. You're a soldier, so you've got 8 different things, and maybe there's more of them. And as a settler, you only get so many because you get them based upon how many times you use them. That's my best guess. That's my only thought. How they'd set that up. What do you think, Beetle?
Yeah, the lack of mission types most likely means increased XP, or within those mission types, there's multiple objectives that each give XP. Like go make this town. Well, you have to make this part of it. You have to make this part of it. You got to make that part of it, and each one will give stuff like that. So, Nixus.
Yeah, I was thinking that if it's going to be limited, maybe the 5 options that are available break down into smaller goal-oriented things. I'm not really too sure how they're going to go with that, but I'm assuming there's a good reason for it.
I kind of see it maybe,
Russian?
when they got those, looking at the details here, like civil defense, maybe you have a choice between a big, huge T-Rex, robotic T-Rex, or you got a choice between smaller stuff. Maybe the missions, although they got less mission types, the variety in them and your options are going to be greater than the others to make up for it. I don't see them neglecting the settler gameplay because that seems to be, one of their key selling points, even though not having key selling points apparently.
Alrighty. So, looking like they're not as active for the path stuff, but maybe there's less because there's more interaction because it's based around a social interaction. That's what sounds like what we're all saying here. The next bunch of questions are a bunch of fun side questions that are left over. So, Phoenix wants to know, aren't you afraid of getting ganked while doing your puzzles, Hiroshi? You still worried about getting ganked?
I'm not worried about getting ganked. I think the last few people tried to gank me in an MMO either ran away or died, so...
Somebody...
You know, it's fine. If you think I'm weak, easy target, that means you made a big mistake and you're going to die. And besides, it's Exiles. Bunny girls ganking people, not going to happen.
For sure. All right. The next one is, did Nixus get out of the corner on good behavior? There were a lot of donations in the name of free Nixus. He was almost trending on Twitter. I mean, and he fell asleep, so he didn't get out of the corner on good behavior. It just happened that Aegon had to go be a stunt double, you know, in a movie, so he wasn't able to be here tonight. We were like, you know, I guess we'll take Baby out of corner just for one night. We'll see. Next one was, ooh, this is a good. We'll definitely go around on this one. Did it hurt your pride losing to developers? I will definitely say, they had a bunch of professionals in there. It was like rigged. Okay, they were like, oh, by the way, we're like some big hardcore competitive like TF2 players. We play this every day. So did it hurt my pride? Not at all. Well played. Go ahead, Beetle. What about you?
The thing about it is, what people don't realize is devs play games. I mean, you play your game a lot, yeah, but devs are gamers. I'm sure they're good. I mean, Bardic can hit anybody with that flamethrower, let's be honest. It says she was dominating me like 6 times. I don't know, I think I was lagging, probably something like that. It didn't hurt my pride. It was more of a proud moment to play with them. I was sometimes on their team, playing against them. It was just good fun the whole time. It was a good time. Nixus?
I don't remember any of this losing business.
He was probably
my
sleeping.
entire time.
He's sleeping.
Maybe that, and I was probably dreaming it all, but I spent the majority of my time in my Monarch costume just ham-shanking people, so I was having fun.
All right.
Hiroshi?
Yeah, I don't think we was actually losing to the devs that often. I thought it was, you know, fairly closely matched. What dented my pride was getting dominated by Anres. I'm not sure how that happened. It's never going to happen again. I'm really disappointed in myself.
Yeah, Anres was fun,
I have to say, it didn't matter which side he's on, he would shoot me. But he was playing Planet Side 2, I would just respawn next to our Sundra, in our armor, on our side, and I get gunned down by Anres. So he obviously has something against me, and yeah, if he applies to our guild, I'm saying no.
Each of those TF2 matches, if I got against Honoras, who's a community member, settler in exile, there's always at least one time that he'd get just like this sliver shot through a couple doorways or something, and just be like, poof, and take me down. I'd look and I'd see it, and I just go, God, I'm gonna hear about this one, because he lets you know when it happens. So, yeah, it was a good time. I had a lot of fun. I'm sure everybody had a blast. Blank, what about you?
It was cool. Like I said, didn't really hurt my pride. I was more focused on trying to stay awake and trying to kick butt, trying to get people to donate. So, pride is for when you're trying to kick butt and be all serious. That was more about community, generating charity. So, did we get our butts handed to us? Maybe. I don't really remember. I was really tired. A little foggy, but anyways, the next question is Tacoma.
I blacked out.
I can't even say that. Taco Mag Game Fan, something like that.
Tacoma.
That's not what that. Anyways,
Tacoma Game Fan.
Do you
Tacoma
believe
Game Fan?
There will be a pet class or an engineer gadget class? Pet class, we've said
yes.
Probably. Engineer gadget class, maybe.
I think scientist may be a pet class. Well, the Game Breaker TV video seem to be showing that you've got this bot. He's saying you got to send it out and scan stuff, and you're going to scan this creature, and then you get a bonus against it. Or you scan enough of them. It sounds like maybe that is your pet class, is more the path rather than. And then you got settlers are meant to have turrets. They've been saying, so who knows?
Yeah, I think I would see before a pet class. I'd see the engineer gadget class coming into play before it. Honestly. We've talked about this in the past with pet AI and dodging telegraphs and stuff would be tough. I think we would see some sort of gadget or engineer class before it.
Nixus,
yeah.
thoughts?
I mean, I'll skip over all the Or and his pets jokes and go straight to. I think a tech class would be fun. I think micro managing a pet in the whole telegraph system might be annoying, especially with all the AoE. And it seems like a lot of it is just AoE and less targeted, so no fun there.
I just seeing that little thing following you around, I was instantly like, nope. I remember my buddy, he'd be raiding, sending his pet in, and it would die, and he'd complain, and you have to. I'm like, no, thank you. I'm all set. Not interested in a warlock. Not interested in a hunter. No, thank you. If I can't do it, if I've got to have twice as many macros for me and my pet, so that my pet can focus, do things, and do. No, thank you. That's not for me. So, will there be one? Possibly. For me, not interested.
That's a good point, because you only got like 7 skills from your class. Are they going to be split up between you and your pet? That could be quite awkward and difficult.
Yeah, that would be annoying. I hate pets.
And Beetle just revealed his lizard mask as well, it seems. He's like really blurry, pixelated, look like a lizard. Ah! Sorry.
I must have missed it.
I watched too many conspiracy videos.
Yeah.
So you're going to be getting X or Y when Pokemon comes out later this year. Not
Z.
I said both.
Both.
Most likely. Pokemon is the bomb. I don't care what you say. Nerd till I die. Pokemon.
Am I the only Digimon person here?
I love the NBA, NFL. I'm a jock nerd, but Pokemon, you can't you sit down and you're just like, Pokemon, and you sit there and you can play for like 12 hours. It's easy mode.
I don't know, dude. Digital champions, Digimon. That's my childhood.
That's hipster. That's totally hipster.
Is it? Is that what it is? Hipster at 6 years old? Is that it?
Wow.
Easily.
Alrighty.
All right, and it looks like
let's see.
Last real question we have is from MMO Papa. Lord of the Rings crafted Anduro versus King Arthur's Adventure Found Excalibur. Should crafting items compare to the itemization of adventure encountered items? Heavy question.
Ooh.
Crafted versus adventure found. Alright, go ahead, Roshi. What do you think? Crafted versus...
I think they need to be equal. Otherwise, your economy gets screwed. You either get the only way to get decent items on adventures, same that can also crafted, or if it's the other way around, the only crafted items give you the best stuff. The people only craft stuff. You need them balanced, even up to keep them both relevant.
Yeah. For the good of the game, you should generally keep them both relevant, or no one's going to craft, the high tier sword. But having that adventure type weapon is so much more badass. And going to get that and killing that raid boss and getting it, it's just, I like the adventure found ones to be better, personally, but I know it would hurt the game in the long run. But I like it. And
you put adventure found crafting materials in as well to get around that. You only can make this really cool, huge, uber two-handed sword if you kill the dragon at the end of the adventure.
Yeah,
it's just an alternative from there.
Yep.
You make it so crafting items are the best items, but the only way to make them is to do the adventures. Yep. So you can't just keep crafting them and selling them. And you figure out some system to where, the crafter can still make the weapon for the person who has the ingredient without having to be worried about, them stealing it or whatever. Find some kind of... I'm sure there's a way to get around that.
Contract
so
system.
So just basically combine the two, make it, yeah.
Yeah, I guess people are saying, with Guild Wars 2, the best items you could craft. I actually didn't like that. It's just alright, I'm at level 80. Do I go kill this boss for 3 hours and try to get the sword, or do I just craft it? I mean, there wasn't a boss to go get the sword in Guild Wars 2. It was just go grab your Ecto, call up the weaponsmith.
The Guild Wars economy was pretty much bent, wasn't it? It was just... once you got your exotics, it doesn't matter where you got them from, you then picked your skin, and you went and found a skin you wanted for the weapon and put the stats on it. I didn't like the Guild Wars 2 system, full stop. It just made the end game dead, and that's something else you got to be careful of. But You still need that sense of adventure. You still need that goal.
Someone was mentioning
Yeah,
the
that's
legendary
accurate.
axe from Ice Crown Citadel. Should have had to have a crafter. For those of you who played World of Warcraft, in Serpent Shrine Cavern, I believe you had to be a crafter to make. At the time, I was on my rogue, so it was, I believe, a mace, and you had to use the raid drops to make that mace. I like that and I really like that because you were able to upgrade it the more you put into it, and that was achieved by doing more raids. I don't believe that with the axe that came from Ice Crown, you had to be a crafter. You just did it as part of the adventure. Like you went in, you did the quest, you killed the heroic mode guys, and then you were able to create this thing. It still was challenging, but I like it to be grounded in the game. So I like
A mix of the two.
I had to get the mats to have weaponsmithing to make that item. It's grounded in the game, not just a part of. I mean, I guess you could argue for both, honestly. I'm not too strong for either one, but I liked having to level up weaponsmithing to make this really cool item that was relevant at the time, compared to just going along and being able to defeat certain raid bosses to get something given to me. Like, it was just kind of like, it was like getting an additional drop. So instead of getting your glaives that had a really low drop rate, you just pounded on the same raids over and over until you were able to just upgrade your weapon. It seemed cheap. That definitely in that instance, it felt cheap to me. So I don't know if
D&DO had something similar.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, they had the big end game. I never got to it. I didn't keep my interest long enough. But there you went into the Veil, and there were certain points in that sort of like raid at the end, you could craft items. So you had to have it all pre-planned out, what he's going to do, and you had to be successful to get through each stage to be able to make that weapon.
What game do you say that was?
Dungeons and Dragons Online?
Yeah, because the first Guild Wars did that with the Fissure of Woe, one of their end game areas. You had to have the mat materials on you to get to the certain blacksmith after the end of it in order to craft it. I mean, Guild Wars 1, it was all cosmetic anyway, but it looked cool.
So what do you guys think about that? Because I'm sorry, we're kind of getting off track, but I really like this question. There's 3 separate ones and I added the third one. As you know, you get your crafted, you have to be, and we're going to say weaponsmith, you have to collect these items that are hard to collect. You know, it drops maybe off of 3 different bosses out of 12 total. Off the 3rd, the 9th, and the 12th. Difficult to get, but you could collect them up, and you have to have weapon crafting to make it. The second is your adventure. You have to go in and you have to do these hard mode challenges. You have to do something, you know, that not everybody can do, and once you've completed that step, you get something that's a little more stronger, so it kind of goes along with your progression, and eventually it's just kind of handed to you. That's your adventure. And then the last one is your warglaves, which some of us hate, waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, and one finally drops, and you better have that DKP to get the first one, because it guarantees the possible second one. Where are you guys at on those 3 different things?
It's an MMORPG. I like for that legendary weapon, that best thing, to take an adventure style or even a raid style requirement. I mean, crafting to me is good for certain things. I think they should be able to craft the high tier, their rare tier, but for legendary or their exotic tier, I think raid or adventure type, because you put in the effort for it that way. You're not just you could collect raid type crafting materials, which would be, I guess, okay, but I would rather, see that glaive drop and be like, oh yeah, need roll on this, DKP on this. It's much more of an experience, and people, like, the fact that you even say glaive, people remember that. It's a thing in your head. You're remembering this, and you're like, oh man, that was awesome, or it was tough, or it was hands up. I don't even know what that expression is, relieved. But it's
excited, pumped.
I think there needs to be, something that makes you, like, say, like, you go into work the next day and talk to your other nerd friend at the water cooler. You're like, dude, got the axe last night. And you're just like, woo! I think that's how it is. Nixus?
I think you can still have the crafting involved in, the higher tier weapons, without taking away from the adventure. So let's say you kill the last boss and the glaive does drop, but rather than it just being the weapon, it's like a broken version of that weapon, and you need to gather like blades from 2 other bosses. So you're not gathering just mats that you can farm off of the first tier bosses. There's specific pieces you need off of that, each individual boss, and then you combine them. And then the only way to craft it
cool.
and like put those pieces together is through having that profession. And it would be the same idea as like having, I don't know if you guys played Yu-Gi-Oh! Back in the day, but they had something called the Forbidden One, which had the 5 different cards that you had to bring together to make it. Just that same concept.
You were good with me until you dropped the Yu-Gi-Oh! Reference.
Why?
That was really
Get back in the corner.
Insightful, and you're just like,
Get in the
talk
corner.
about Yu-Gi-Mon.
I think we're looking at it all
Digimon
completely
and
wrong.
Yu-Gi-Oh! That was my childhood. Whatever.
We're not looking at the game
Yeah.
we're playing here, are we? For the information they're giving us, we're going to get socketed items. So you can put 2 together. You either make the socketed item and you pick up the sockets while you're raiding, or you pick up the item while raiding and you make the sockets. And that way it keeps both relevant. So you can find a Uber axe with 15 billion sockets or something in your raid and go, yeah, I've got the sweet thing, but you still got to get the sockets from elsewhere. That's how they're saying the game mechanics going to work. So you can mix both together depending on how we decide to do it. So you can get that, yeah, I got the axe, because it's got 3 sockets in it, and I could do whatever I want with all of them. They're all unlocked.
But
Compared to having locked items, which is what this is going to be.
you just reminded me, they said that with that whole crafting thing and the way that they are having, those attributes and stuff, some of them are going to be locked. I remember reading this. They said that, like, let's say you do a raid boss and it gets dropped and it has some crappy thing in it. And you're like, oh, this sucks. So you take it. Then the next week you do it again and it has something really awesome, but you can't, you used all your DKP, it's not there. I totally forgot about that. That is a whole other level shit if you think about it, because it's not just, okay, the sword dropped, cool beans, but now it's like, oh, it's got something crappy I don't want in it. Like, bravo, I tip my hat to you, good sir.
What happens if we take these out that destroys the whole item, so you only can pick 1 decent item from this cool drop you've got, because you don't need the rest? Yuck. It could be a nightmare of a situation.
You combine the 2 even for that, Hiroshi. What if the crafted items are the highest crafted items come with 4 empty sockets, for all these circuits, and then the bosses drop sword, glaive, axe, staff, whatever you want to call it, but they all have a chance to have the special chip in it, and then that way you're salvaging that boss's special chip. Big monster football guy boss drops charge chip, which allows you at 20% health, you automatically charge into a rage or something like that, and that way the crafted weapon you can pop it. The crafted weapon you've got with the 4 sockets, you can pop it in there. That'd be pretty cool.
They could do some really nasty stuff, like saying that boss drops his sword, has 2 items in it, and you can take 1 out at a time.
And they're both just really
You have
good.
to make the choice, and you got to burn for it again to get that second gem, and you're like...
Well, then you can buy a cash shop item that lets you get them both. Stop the stream.
We're done. We're done. No more. All right. That's really great. We're definitely going to talk about that when we get more information, because as a guild leader, I know that when it comes to distribution of loot, everybody wants to know what system you're using, what are the variables, and everybody has, their interest. But that, again, and this is what I love about Wildstar, it's that next level shit. It's like, okay, well, this is how you normally did it, but now we're going to throw another monkey wrench in there. And it's like, well, I had all these nice little variables of, like, if you participate and if you get your shit, because this drops, everybody wants it. Oh, no, it has some crappy thing in it. The only one that can use it is this dude. It's wonderful. Thanks, guys. You really are aiming for that 1%. Going to make this an interesting time in this game for sure. So, we're going to move up to...
wrap her up?
Yes, you can.
Oh, you just want to wrap it?
Yeah.
Wrap.
I think it was a question we missed about any talk of space action. Pop. Space action. Is any talk yet of space action? If they were to add it, what would you like to see?
I don't want to see
DOS fighting.
I think it was rushed in Star Wars. It was just an on-rail shooter. I'd rather we just keep it to the MMO space, and maybe you can fly to the next thing. I wouldn't like to see, unless they did like a whole expansion, like we're having space battles now. Meh.
Only if it fits.
Meh.
You know, I'm really against expansions where we're introducing new mechanics which don't fit the game just for.
So there we go.
Like
That's
space
our point
action.
of view.
We
I
are
thought you
done
would
with
do it,
questions
being
for
blank
the night.
space.
Thanks to everybody again for stopping by the stream. We love you all for hanging out. Your boss. Thanks for keeping the chat room so busy. I love just looking over and having to read a bunch of crap and keep up with you guys. Follow this Twitch channel if you want. I won't force you. Follow us on Twitter at SVG Wildstar. You can follow all of us at our other handles too. You may see us around. I'm at BeetleBossy. Nixus is at Nixus something something number. Orochi is
0213.
Orochi underscore SVG.
Blank
Underscore
is
SVG.
at real blank space. Underscore SVG. Blank is at real blank space. You can like us on Facebook. Subterfuge Vanguard. I don't think we have. And then. And. Yeah, thanks again, guys. That's pretty much it. Follow all the things. The stuffs.
Do all that good stuff.
You got your tweeters. See you next week, guys.
See you next week, guys.
Enjoy
Thanks
your
for
beard,
stopping
you
by.
know. Bye.